Hey everybody, Brian from Bearable Traders here. It is the weekend, November 15th. Hope everyone's having a good weekend. This, of course, is the weekend video. We'll take a look at what happened last week in the markets, and then we'll take a look ahead, see what we got coming up, and we do have some interesting things like NVIDIA earnings. So let's get down to it. Of course, the government shutdown finally came to an end, and that did spark some positive reactions. As I mentioned in my last week's video, AMD added more fuel to the AI rally this week with some upbeat announcements during its investor day. However, we had some remarks from several Fed governors that really tempered some enthusiasm in the market, suggesting that the likelihood of another rate cut in December is definitely not a done deal. CME Watch Tool now puts the likelihood of that rate cut at 44%. And a month ago, that was over 90%. So some concern there now in the market that we may not get that some further rate cuts, at least in the near future. Energy and healthcare, largest gainers on the week. Mentioned healthcare as one that was possibly going to break out last week. Consumer discretionary and utilities, sectors that lost the most ground. 2-year and 10-year treasuries up a little, but kind of flat, not really big moves, and dollar was down slightly. Again, not a big move either. Talking about big moves, Bitcoin, big move down, lost about 10% on the week, was trading around 103 and change last week. Now it's 95.9 last I looked, so losing that 100,000 sort of psychological level there. So Bitcoin looking very weak over the last week. And that was your week in review. Take a look at my books that are available on Amazon. You can see there How to Swing Trade, Profiting as an Active Trader, two swing and position trading books, and How to Trade Options, my latest book on day and swing trading options. You can check those out there. The links are in the description below. Starting out with the 2-year treasury, you can see here it seems to be stuck in a bit of a range now. We had to move up slightly this week just because of the comments from various Fed heads saying rate cuts weren't a done deal for the end of the year. Same with the 10-year, sort of in this range now, and moving up on the week a little bit just because of those comments from the governors. You can see here, this is the Dow. We see we had a nice rally till midweek, and then the news about from the governors, and of course then we had the big sell-off Thursday, gap down on Friday, and did manage to come up well off the lows. But you can see here we had a nice, looked like we were going to break out. Dow made an all-time high, 48,000, and immediately pulled back into range there. So we'll see what happens, but it set some interesting levels. Qs, same sort of story. We had a decent sort of first part of the day, and then Thursday came along and sell off. But you can see here we really came off yesterday's, or the low of the day here, and you can see this 50 moving average. Everybody seems to be focusing on this right now, this 50 moving average. We did manage to close above it, which is always important. You can see we came down on Thursday, touched it, and bounced as well. So that 50-day is something to keep an eye on. And you can see here again, almost an inside day on the Qs, or an inside week, I should say, on the Qs. Just dipped a little bit below prior week, but again finished within the prior week's range. The SPY, sort of same story, had a nice little move up here early in the week, and then of course had that sell-off again above the 50-day moving average. And yeah, so let's take a look at the weekly. Again, this was an inside week, so we didn't make the low from the previous week, didn't breach the high from the previous week either. So inside week, and kind of just in a range right now, but setting up some levels to watch for possible breakouts or breakdowns. IWM was the one that kind of fared the worst, I would say, on the week. We did have some that news that came out about from the governors because these are interest rate sensitive. That does make these more vulnerable when you start to see news that there aren't going to be further rate cuts in the near term. So you can see here we sold off fair amount, lost 1.7 on the week. and coming back into this range. It looked like we were going to break out there and couldn't do it. VIX up a little bit on the week. We finished out around 19, so fear index up a little bit. Did sell off on Friday, but still sort of elevated. So next week we've got a lot of stuff coming up here. A lot of maybe some economic data that got delayed is going to be released with the government back, and of course NVIDIA is really going to dictate which way we go with technology. The dollar just kind of stalled out here. And Bitcoin really taking it on the chin here. You can see here we lost this level, these prior highs, and then where we checked back, and then yeah, we've come back down. Where we could be going, I mean, we could be going down to 90,000. If we lose that level, I'd say this sort of 78,000 could be our next area where there could be some support there. So Bitcoin under a little pressure this week, or this last week. FMS position. Again, this is a Toronto Stock Exchange venture. When it lost 50 cents here, I decided to really pair the position, although I'm not going to cut out of it completely. I still think if you're going to hold this I might hold a little bit of a small position for the longer term and keep an eye on it. As far as others, I'm still holding gold. Gold really took a hit. Gold typically doesn't likes lower interest rate, and when we got that news on Thursday, we did get a bit of a sell-off on gold. Did come back up on Friday, so still holding it here actually because I got an entry back down there. So I'm still feeling like gold should be part of my portfolio. Same comments with silver, so I'm just holding some silver. URA, I did get out of this. It did try to make a rally back, and now it's seems to be breaking down. And I'm going to keep an eye on it, but it should be going up with the energy sector, but it got really extended, I guess, and now we're getting a pullback here. So we'll look at it again if it pulls back into this range, and possibly look at it for a long. But pretty light, just because we're facing a lot of uncertainty next week with delayed economic data possibly being released. Plus, we've got NVIDIA, of course, on Wednesday, which could really cause some volatility in the market. So let's take a look at Meta. I'm kind of interested in Meta here as well. It looks like it stopped selling off. This is the weekly chart. 600 seems to be holding now. Again, volume, kind of the selling volume is starting to drop off. So keeping an eye on Meta, because it has a tendency to, can really sell off here, eventually find a bottom, and then move right back up again. Because, Zuckerberg can change his mind on all this AI spending as well. So that's one I'm just kind of watching right now. As far as ETFs, I'm looking at XLE. This is looking very strong, and it's right back up at this September high. It made a new high here from this earlier in the week, and it does look like it's getting ready to break out. If we look at it on a weekly, let's take a boo. You can see here again, this is an area where we have broken out from before. 94 would be an area which would probably see some resistance. So XLE, of course, is made up of a number of energy companies, so you could trade that XLE if you didn't want exposure to just in one individual company, or you could pick one like Exxon or Chevron or whatever. But this sector seems to be, it was strong last week, and it's strong again this week, so looking pretty good. And XLK, again, I'm watching this one because this has been, the technology sector is about 36% of the SPY. So as technology goes, a third of the SPY goes as well. So you can see here, we're kind of on a downtrend, sold off, came back up. And to me, this is a lower high, obviously. Could not get back up to challenge those highs. So I'd be watching XLK to see if we can break this downtrend again. And maybe move back up. Right now it's staying just above the 50 EMA, but I think XLK, this sector is very important for the overall health of the market. So keeping an eye on that for next week and possibly a breakout and for potential long. So that's all I'm watching for next week for the time being. '17th, there's your levels on the Dow Q, SPY, and IWM, support and resistance levels. As far as economic events go, we just need to be careful because there will be or could be some economic data that wasn't reported during the shutdown that may just randomly come out, like employment data. It's supposedly going to come out. This October data is going to come out maybe on Thursday. So, and possibly some PPI data that got missed. So it's going to be a little bit of cause a little bit of uncertainty, I would say, in some of these economic events and news releases. As far as earnings go, we do have some interesting stuff. Of course, we've got Home Depot, Target, Lowe's, TJ Maxx, Walmart on Thursday, but of course the big headliner is going to be NVIDIA 420 on Wednesday after the close. That will be the one that everyone should be watching. And of course, because of the AI dominance from NVIDIA. And as far as a high level, let's just take a quick look here. I'd say markets are kind of struggling to find a direction. Lots of uncertainty next week with the potential release of delayed economic data. And of course, NVIDIA earnings on Wednesday. Early next week, I'll be watching some crucial levels to see if we continue to get its support and possibly resistance, and then or a signal of breakout or a breakdown. And healthcare had a nice breakout last week. Hopefully you took advantage of that because I had flagged that last week. Now it looks pretty extended. Next week, energy is sort of looking like it's setting up for a possible breakout. But again, just wait to make sure that breakout is going to happen. So that's it, everyone. Have a great rest of your weekend. And we'll see you hopefully 8 o'clock in the room on Monday morning for our pre-market show. And then, of course, trading the market at the open. And click on that like button. I always appreciate it if you enjoyed the video and got something out of it. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.